Hello family and welcome to Everything Bass. Man, we're moving on. We're at things to do with scales number 7. Maybe this is the first video you've seen, it's just popped up as a recommendation and you check it out. What I created the series for is to answer the question I first had as a student myself, and then when I was a teacher and counselor at Musicians Institute at the Bass Institute of Technology, people would come up and students would come up and they'd say, hey, listen, I'm learning these scales, but all I do when I go home is I play them from root to octave, octave back down to root. What more can I do with it? And I realized, man, there's a lot you can do with a scale in your daily practice that will not only really embed that scale in your brain so you'll have better recall, but give you more musical ideas with it. So now we're on Unit 7. And so this one's a very interesting pattern. I kind of want to show you what we're doing. So we're in A major again. And let me just kind of go kind of groups. It's all an eighth note pattern. So we're going to take 4 eighth notes at a time and hopefully show you the pattern that we're doing. So we start with the tonic, which is A. And I suggest starting on the 5th fret of your E string, because then I think you'll see the intervals a little easier than if you use the open A string. So we're going to play the root, and then we'll go back down to the next note in the scale, which happens to be the major 7, back to the root, and then we go up to the major 2nd, which is the B. Now we end on the B, so our next note that we're going to start is the next note higher in the scale, so in this case it's C sharp. But we keep that same pattern where we play the note, we start a note, we go back 1 note in the scale, go up a note, and then play a note higher in the scale. Then, because I stopped on that D, we're going to start on the E, but we'll go back to the D, go back to the E that we started on, and go up to the next note higher, F sharp. And then, because we did F sharp, we would do the G sharp. Now that's just the ascent, but let me play it without talking so you can really hear it. Okay, so it's taking this little phrase and running it up the scale. Now when we go to come down, this is an interesting one, and I really like doing this because now I'm starting to go beyond the octave slightly, just 1 step beyond. But when we come down, we're starting on the G, but we have to invert the pattern. So whereas we would play the first note in the pattern and go down a note, we now have to go up a note. Well, we're at the octave, so we're going to go up to what's now would be called the 9, or which is a 2nd. That's the B. Anytime a number, just a little tip here, anytime a number is bigger than 8, just take 7 away from it and you'll know what the interval is within the octave. Meaning, I said the number 9, which is the B in A major scale, and that you take 7 away, that's a 2. So it's actually the major 2nd, but an octave higher, so we call it a 9. Just kind of wanted to throw that in there. So for the descent, we go octave, go up to the 9, back to the octave, go to the major 7. Now because we end on the major 7, we start on the 6, go up to the 7, 6, 5. We ended on the 5, so we go to the 4. Ended on the 3, so we go to the 2. So that exercise will sound like this. It's a simple pattern, but it's yet a deeper way of playing something melodic within the scale, yet going all the way through the scale, adjusting the fingering so that you stay within the scale, and then coming back down. This can be the first domino of a whole series that you could create for yourself, just writing your own pattern. And I suggest starting with a 4-note pattern. You can get more evolved as you get more comfortable. You can do an 8-note pattern, something really rhythmically complex using all the different rhythms, and then apply it. And I highly suggest that. But for this, if this is a new concept for you, just practice this one. And when you get it down with A major, run it through all the different major scales, all 12 keys, and then try some different scales. You know, try I would recommend 7-note scales because of this pattern, but you could try applying it to the pentatonics and the blues scale. But I think for simplicity's sake, try first with any of the modes you might know, natural minor, things like that. And then let me know how it goes, because I really love this we're now in a kind of a transitional. The first couple units we did runs a 4, runs a 3. Then we did thirds. We did thirds alternating directions. I did kind of a what I used to call a collapsing exercise, where you play the root up to the octave, root to the 7, root to the 6, kind of going and bringing the higher note down to the root in an organized fashion. But now we're doing a little melodic line. And how's this working in for you? You know, try it for a week or so, practicing it every day. And then I would love to get your comments. Share with it so we can kind of like digest what your experience was, make improvements if we can, or you can reaffirm maybe how it's working. So maybe that would encourage someone else to give it a shot. Hey, we're all teachers, man. We're all teachers to each other. You guys have taught me a lot just in your comments, and it's made me approach things differently, and I appreciate you for that. Okay, so now we are going to an album that I first learned about when I wasn't the editor of Bass Frontiers yet, but I was just a freelance writer for them. And they would assign me interviews with artists, which I loved. I mean, talking with bass players is like the best thing in the world. And so I got set up with a phone interview with Meshell Ndegeocello. And if you don't know her, you should. What a powerful voice in the bass community. And I mean that both as a singer, but as a bassist, as a composer, producer. She kind of does it all. And it was for her release, Peace Beyond Passion. So I didn't know anything about her. I was living in Arizona at the time. We set up the phone interview. Her marketing department sent me like a little package that had a bunch of stuff, including the CD. And I threw it on, and man, first of all, the fidelity. I have a tendency to talk a lot about production quality, you know, how well something's recorded, because it's important to me. I love hearing, you know, really excellent recorded you know, project where I can really hear everything, and it kind of sets me right into a mood. This sets you into a mood immediately. The first song is The Way, and that's the first thing I ever heard. Those are the first notes I ever heard from Meshell play, and I'm not exaggerating when I said she had me like in 2 measures. I was like, this is cool. This is really new at the time, and it was powerful. And there was a lot of depth. Her lyrics, this is one where reading like the lyric sheet as you're listening to the song is powerful. Really get into what she's saying. And I think there's a lot of fruit on the vine there. Cool song is Who Is He and What Is He to You? That's a really cool song. Hard to verbalize like when you listen to it, but what it meant to me, maybe I'll just let you guys experience it. Check it out. Listen to it. Listen to, again, her lyrical content. Listen to how, I'm always fascinated when lead singers are the bassists, how they adjust the bass line for their vocal melody and how the two parts become one. And she is like top 5 of that quality, of not just playing a bass line and singing over it, but really having the two interrelate. Is really organic and it's beautiful. And then another track I'd pull out to check is Mary Magdalene. Give it a listen to. Again, listen to the production quality. Listen, you can really hear everything. This is another good one if you guys are new to transcription and you're looking for high quality recordings that you can really practice your transcriptions. That's a great one. You know, it's a great disc. I've just always really been drawn to Meshell because she is powerful, like in everything. She is a strong part of our community, and I think she deserves to be heard. So if you haven't checked her out, give her a listen. And definitely, this is just the first album I heard, so it's the first I thought about it, but go through her whole catalog, check it out, and then let her know what you think. I think it's important if music positively impacts you and it's a new artist and you're energized, find them on social media. Most of them are on social media, and let them know. Let them know you checked it out and that you know their talent and sacrifice moved you. I think it's a really nice thing you can do for an artist who has risked all, and maybe you know, maybe things haven't worked out the way they want. Not saying that specifically about Meshell, but any artist, and maybe there's the times in their life they're not feeling that great, and you can reach out and go, hey, I just found this CD, and you know, say, hey, I saw this video on YouTube and they recommended this recording and I really loved it. I think you could positively impact that person's day and really change their life. A positive word to someone you don't know in casual passing can have a major impact. So I encourage you to do so. Plus, it makes you feel good. All right, so things to do with scales, Unit 7, Meshell Ndegeocello, Peace Beyond Passion. Check both out and let me know what you think. As always, it would mean the world to me if you could hit the subscribe down below. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and of course, ring the bell icon. Just hit the bell. That'll let you know every time I upload something new. So if you are enjoying these short lesson videos and you want to add them into your weekly practice routine, it's really helpful that you can, especially if you're following one of my series, that you can know every time I put the next installment up. And as always, I like to recommend to get the absolute most out of these lessons. Like if you're having a hard time finding a private instructor and you want to use this experience to fill that void, the best thing I can suggest is go to my Patreon account, patreon.com/everythingbase. You'll find a link in the description, and become a monthly Backstage Pass subscriber. A Backstage Pass gives you access to all of my written material, and unless I'm teaching sight reading, the written material is both in standard notation and tabs. So even if you don't read, you'll be able to figure it out. Excuse me. And that way you can kind of print out everything, have it, or put it on your device, have it when you're not watching YouTube, and really get the most out of it, especially when I'm doing some really intricate patterns. Being able to see the tab, or if you read, I would love to have you reading, being able to see it on the staff sometimes can reinforce it and make it easier for you to memorize. All right, well, that's it. Let's get on with it. Go on with your day. Have a wonderful day. You guys are so important to me. Don't ever forget that this community loves you. We love each other. We're supportive of each other. We want everyone to win. And this is a game, quote unquote game, where everyone can win. But we got to all be on the same team. So I really appreciate you guys being in this community, sharing your thoughts. Love to hear more from you. And I will see you at the next video.